Hello everyone, welcome back to another session with me. This will be the last session on Zenbuttons. Hope you are enjoying the series, and this is the last button that we drew, buttons with a fold, right? So the same pattern, the same string, however trying to bring in a little Zen factor over and above the usual thing, right? So again, I have the last tile in front of me. We have done it on Zentangle since we work on concentric circles here, and today also we'll go back to our original where we started from, so we'll use the same color palette. However, again a little Zen factor. I'm going to divide the button into some sections and try to give it the look of a cracked button. Yeah, so that's the only thing. So I'm just, before I start drawing, I'm just going to add some cracks in here. So right, so going to draw in the same fashion, however right, so I'm creating some sections here, right? Again, closely aura the shape that you have drawn. Again, give a crack kind of thing, torn, broken, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, again closely aura it. Again, just randomly adding the other side, not thinking what, where, and auraing it. Right, so divide it into couple of sections. You can add more sections if you want. Like this. Yeah, so now we will draw the buttons in the usual manner that we do, but first we'll introduce some colors. The first section I'm going to keep it empty as it is, right? White, and then I'm going to start with some nice yellow. It will be a good idea to erase the grid lines. Before we add our watercolor. Yeah, so just do that exercise. Yeah, so I'm now going to add some bright warm colors. Don't add anything in this aura, the small little white space in between. It has to remain like that since it is cut or broken or cracked from there, right? So we'll not add anything there and keep it absolutely white. And the last one. Yeah, so moving on to the next layer, so we'll add some red, nice and bright. Yeah, so I'll just add the color. Almost finishing with my coloring now. adding orange to the last layer, nice and bright. Right, so we are done with that exercise. Now let us start tangling. So I am now going to insert the bronze chair flower in the center and draw it in a fashion that it is ignoring the cracks. Yeah, like this. Yeah, so continue as if there is nothing in between. Just the way we draw a normal bronze chair flower, a bronze chair tangulation. Yeah, yeah, I think we are done, right? So next layer again, we will choose from some tangles, some fragments that we want to draw, right? So pick up a fragment of your choice. So I'm going to first divide it into some sections. Like this. Yeah, and then add a mingle. Yeah, so a mingle, either you can use the whole space or you can divide the space and then use the tangle emingle in each of the space that you create, right? So it is entirely up to you. How do you want to go about? So again, ignoring the crack, just going to draw as if there is nothing there. Yeah, so take your time and slowly insert this tangle, which is here we are using it as a fragment. These cracks will actually look like cracks if there are some sections moving from here to there, right? So it's always a good idea to draw it that way, as if things are getting cut from in between. It will give a more realistic look. So take your time and slowly fill up each of the section with this tangle. Yeah, so our first layer is done. So next layer again I am going to divide into squares. Yeah, somewhere inside. Yeah. So now what I'm going to do is add a cross inside, another cross or plus sign, and then just join these to the corners. Right? Simple fragment. Again, draw a cross, draw another plus sign in the center, and join these to the corners. Also called as the tangle quilt. Basically, tangles being used as fragments inside a grid. Yeah. So I'm just going to continue like this. First cross, second cross, and then join it like this. Again the same. Right? So I'll continue. So I am on the last one now. One cross, two cross, and then connect the ends of the cross with the corners. Right? So in this tangle you can see we have some spaces left. So it is up to us if we want to leave it like that, or I will just weave it like this. Right? Since the space is considerable, so you can either choose to ink it, add something with white, or you can add something else, like I am doing hybrid here. You can also add a simple triangle with an orb. For example, add something like bales and add an orb. So a whole lot of things that you can do. It's a triangular space, so any triangular fragment will fit in. Yeah. So this is just a suggestion, and just try new things, or if you want to tangle along with me, it's okay. Almost done here. Yeah, and you also have some in between space here, so if you want you can add a moon, or you can add the same shape and ink it. As I keep mentioning, inking is always a good idea here and there. Right, so I am adding a diamond shape here and inking it. Yeah, so you can see immediately it adds that drama factor. So depending on whatever space you have, just use it and ink it. Yeah. Right, so we are done with the second section. Now let us move to the third. So again I will use the square grid only, sticking to the square grid. right? Again, picking up a simple fragment, right? So what I'm going to do is add two curves, add a straight line, and then aura it. Like this. Yeah, simple fragment, little different from the tangle wobble, because wobble doesn't have line in between. Some bit of etching, right? Again the same thing. You can add both sides at the same time. Add a nice curve so that when you shade it has a 3D effect. Some thatching. Yeah, that's it. Right, so I'm going to continue like this. If you want, you can add something in between also. For example, choose any one row, any one section, and add these orbs, right? So it will add to the look. Right, so I'll just continue like this. Yeah, so I'm still adding those orbs inside my fragment, one section of the fragment. Yeah, right, so done with that exercise. Yeah, so the fragment, a little thatching or edge marks, and then a little embellishment in one of the auras that we have done. Yeah, so that's about it. That's the tangling part. Let us now move on to shading. So as far as the center section is concerned, I'm not going to touch it and keep it white. Just going to add some around the flower. Right, and we are going to add here to emphasize the crack or the cut. Right, again here, so you can give more cuts depending on how you want to go about doing it. Right, so this is just an idea, as I keep mentioning. You can explore more, do your own things. So the color, background color is pretty dark. So if the graphite is not prominent enough, we can always use our gray watercolor. Yeah, so right now just adding the graphite. Yeah, then the next level. Yeah, then the next. Right, and the last. So shade the concentric circles and highlight the cracks. Make sure you don't draw in between the cracks. They are absolutely white. Right, so we have added the graphite. Let us now start to blend. So inside I will not blend too much because I don't want the entire flower go gray. Using the tip so that I blend only as much as is required. Yeah, next level. Then the next. Side by side you can keep blending the graphite you have put on both sides of the cracks. Smoothen it out. Yeah, moving to the next layer. You can see the graphite, since the colors are dark, graphite is not very explicit, but yes, it will show, but it may not show as much. That's why that gray helps us to highlight the dark a little more. Yeah, so take your time and blend well. Yeah. So now we'll pick up our brush pen and re-emphasize the graphite. Add a little more darkness on the graphite that we have already done. Here you can do it in the center so that you add it on both sides simultaneously. A little more darkness. And then the third layer, same way, I'm adding in the center so that I add a little to both sides. Yeah. And then you can do it on both sides of this white section. Thin line. Make sure you don't enter inside. Keep it white. It's pretty fragile, so carefully and the last one. Yeah. Now small little thing that you can do here is embellish your fragments a little. With your jelly roll. Again, this is optional if you want, because jelly roll adds a lot to a dark background. Right? Small little things. Again, you have added some orbs, so use those orbs to add some dots in there. It will highlight your fragment. Yes, small ones. Just a touch with your jelly roll. Yeah. Right, so we are done with that small little embellishment. Now what I am going to do is, instead of adding the white chalk in the same way as we do mostly like in these segments, I am going to highlight it this way. Right, so I am not doing the usual shading here and instead adding the chalk like this. Yeah. So now what you can do is extend this shading a little more, make it more dark, take it a little more forward. Right, the edges are already dark. I'm just adding a little more graphite and bring it almost up to your center white. Yeah, so basically darkened it and highlighted the center, and I will do the same for all. Yeah, so just highlight the center like this. Yeah, so not the usual way. Why? Because we want to highlight the cuts. Yeah, that's why. Again, you can bring in, extend this darkness a little more, add some more graphite at the edges and just blend it. Yeah, again the same thing here also. And the same thing here also. Yeah, and some darkness at the edges. And some here. That's it. Blend it. Yeah, I think we have blended all. Now pick up your different outline and just soften the chalk. Right, so just blend it nicely so that it doesn't give a patchy look. Yeah, like this. Right, so I'm just blending the the chalk, softening it, making it merge with my graphite. So that it doesn't look like patches of white and black. Yeah, so that's our tile for today, and this is the last of the session of the series. Just a soft touch of graphite here. Since they are buttons, they look nice when the circles are very discreet. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, so that's our tile for today. So we have done so many already. I'm going to close it here. Yeah, so today's looks very different, right? And this is what we have done today, and all these we have already done. This was the teaser that I posted. This is the white one that I did. This is the tan one that we did, and this is today's, right? So that was about Zen buttons, and I'll come up with another new series soon. Till then, have a good time. Bye bye, stay safe.